Today on Boxmining Daily, we're going to take a look at the physical ledger hack. So it seems like a 15-year-old managed to tamper with a ledger and even potentially hack it. We also have Japan orders Binance to leave Japan, and of course some VeChain FUD. So it seems like VeChain plus BMW, is this really happening? And what are these tweets saying? And finally, I'm going to talk about FUD and the media. It seems like there's a lot of negative FUD news coming out from the media regarding cryptocurrencies, and that's causing quite a lot of people to be really concerned. So I'm going to address all these issues and more. I do want to say that, of course, everything covered here is my personal opinion and not financial advice. First of all, let's start off with a market recap. So it does seem like we're going a little bit sideways over the past 24 hours. All Bitcoin was on a major rally this week. So, I mean, what more can we expect? So a 5-10% dip is kind of average. So we're back to a point where we're around $328 billion for the market cap of cryptocurrencies yet again. Well, the good news in the past few days is that we kind of see that all the coins are breaking apart from each other. For a longest period of time, it seems like every single coin is tied and the whole market, even if you diversify, is pointless. But right now, it does seem like, well, the coins are moving a little bit apart. I mean, why should things like clean energy projects be tied to gaming projects, be tied to infrastructure projects? There's no real reason for them to rise and fall at the same time. But even now, you can see that graphically, it's still very, very much following a trend with some just like making slight deviations from the trend. So I do expect in the future that this will break apart once the general public understands, or once the crypto audience itself understands more about what's really happening and the differences between each project. Next up, in terms of news, this one was quite surprising to me. So let's start off with something that was quite special in the sense that, well, when you buy a new Ledger Nano S, and you've seen me unbox a few of these in the past, well, you don't have a tamper-proof seal on it. It's not really sealed because they're so confident that their firmware will stand to hacking. Well, and then they're confident that if you do receive one, it's impossible for anyone or a reseller or any person to tamper with it and hack it in such a way that it will breach it. But it seems like a 15-year-old, and this is reported in Ars Technica, has managed to breach that firmware. So they wrote pwned on it, and it seems like they managed to find a way to not only breach that firmware but make the device pump out private keys in a predictable fashion. And if that is the case, when you get that device and you generate your private key, then it's very likely the hacker knows what the private key is. So this is a bit of concern, but it only applies to devices that are on older firmware. So the hacker said they haven't tried a newer firmware. So it's unclear from the article whether the new firmware can be hacked, but Ledger is pretty insistent they patched a few major security holes in 1.4.1 and recommended everyone to update to that. So if you buy a new Ledger, if it contains a new firmware, then that's good. But if it's Ledger that's already out on the market, if it's secondhand, it might be vulnerable. So that is why you must make sure you buy these new and don't ever buy these on eBay. And it's quite important to stress that once you generated the private key, it's stuck on the device. So if you already have a ledger, there's no real need to be concerned here. It's only a concern if you're buying new ledgers, and you must make sure that source of these ledgers are legit. Next up, we have Japan versus Binance. So it seems like there's a report from the Nikkei, a pretty big news outlet in Japan, that the Japan Financial Services Agency (FSA) has, well, been in talks with Binance, and they want to kick Binance out of Japan. Well, what Japan has is that they have regulated trading exchanges for cryptocurrencies, and Binance, it hasn't been registered as one of them. But the issue is that Binance is crypto to crypto, and how do you regulate that? So there is a response from CZ right now, and he said basically Nikkei showed irresponsible journalism. We are in constructive dialogues with Japan FSA, and we have not received any mandates. I think this might be kind of a miscommunication as well, because Binance had a localized Japanese version of the website, which they had to remove. So they had to change it so you have a Google Translate on that. So it's like translating an international website into Japan. So it's not technically and localized in Japan. I think CZ actually talked about it in one of his talks. I have to upload a video somewhere, so I'll put a link up to it. Around 2 months ago, he talked about going into Japan, trying to apply for the license, but also talking about Binance being an international exchange and how it really doesn't have a base. Next, we have, of course, BMW tweeting. So there have been recent tweets in a while, and this has been a major discussion on the VeChain forums. Initially, what happened was that BMW USA replied to someone called Harun that, well, BMW has not entered any cooperation with partnerships with the Vechain Foundation. This is very different from what was announced during the Vechain rebranding, where Vechain said, yeah, the rumors are true, we're partnered with BMW. So BMW further reiterated that, well, sorry for the confusion, BMW is participating in the BMW Garage program, setup program, and as a venture client, the BMW Group is a customer of the startup at a time when the product technology service is not yet ready for market. So there was a further clarification of this issue. Well, what it seems like right now is that Vechain is part of this BMW startup garage program, and the Vechain community has been very avidly kind of figuring out what is really part of this program and what part of the technologies they'll use. Lastly, we had this really cool discussion on Reddit, which is why are crypto investors so fickle? At the slightest low bump or FUD, the whole market turns red. And this is something that we've been dealing with for the past few months already. Any bit of regulation news, and boom, it goes down, and boom, it goes up. And I do feel sometimes on Reddit that we have people purposely spreading FUD and making things worse than it sounds. And to make matters worse, mainstream media does that as well. It first says, teenager hacks a cryptocurrency wallet, which is one of the top BBC posts on cryptocurrencies, and it doesn't really clarify how strong the hack is. So I tried on my article to say that this is a physical hack and how that applies to everything. We also have child porn links found on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is also big sensationalist news, all this FUD affecting cryptocurrencies. Generally speaking, this shouldn't affect us that much. I mean, technically, if you research into it and you look at it in depth, it shouldn't really affect with your emotions. But sometimes our emotions are very fickle. The fact is that if the market dips and we read negative news, we tend to believe that this is true. But as with always, we've been dealing with negative news for a long time. Not everything in this world is positive. So then what should we believe and what should be going on? Well, for me, honestly, I believe in having strong hands. I really believe in researching something to its core, researching all the potential FUD points. So when these news hits the media, we have a defense from them. We have a kind of like a immunization from this. It's like having a vaccine and being vaccinated against the FUD. So I really feel like this is something that we should develop in the future, and I would love to hear if you guys feel the same way about it as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Of course, right now I'm still traveling. I'm attending GDC. It has been one hell of a time reconnecting to my gaming past and seeing what projects are in the cryptocurrency world that are in gaming, because this is how I got into it, and this is how I think a lot of more people can get into crypto, and not just crypto as an investment product or a speculative product, but with real use cases. And I think this is what really made me and cemented me and my current position in crypto. So I really hope to share that with you guys in the future, and I'll make some videos about that very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember to click the little subscribe button on the bottom to subscribe to this channel, and of course, follow me on Instagram to check out my adventures at GDC. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.